So Liverpool following up that first defeat of the Premier League season at Tottenham by drawing 2-2 with Brighton at the Amex Stadium today. Jurgen Klopp said in the end that he thought it was a fair result on the basis of what he'd seen in the game, but I still think there'll be elements of big frustration coming away from this game for the manager around this one. The first of those is the fact that Liverpool conceded first yet again. I mean, they've earned 10 points from losing positions already in this Premier League season, which is a pretty impressive stat, and also shows that the mentality monsters are back, but also they keep creating the conditions for those comebacks by conceding first. That's 7 of the last 11 games now where they've conceded the first goal, and that is something the manager will really want to stamp out. He also, of course, won't be happy about the fact that the 2 goals Liverpool conceded were really poor ones. The first one, it was a cagey game up to that point, and then just a simple sloppy pass out from the back is seized upon by Brighton, and then they score the goal straight away from that. And obviously the second, then the late equaliser, is just from a set piece where they really should have defended that better, and always frustrating to concede from set pieces, particularly to Brighton as well, because they're a side you think if they're going to score against you, they're going to cut you open and play the great football that they do, but that didn't happen. Liverpool just gave the goals away a little bit today, so that will be a big frustration for the manager. That said, still some positives to come out of this one. I mean, I saw a tweet by Michael Reid, who some of you may follow. He's absolutely brilliant. His work on stats around football and Liverpool in particular. If you don't follow him on Twitter or any social media, do have a look for him, because he is brilliant. And the stat was that Liverpool have now become the first away team to beat Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton in terms of possession and expected goals. So the first team ever to have racked up more possession and expected goals against them at the Amex Stadium, which I think gives you an idea that Liverpool didn't perform overly badly. There was some elements to the performance, as I say, that were disappointing, but I think you come away from it thinking that actually, they sort of matched Brighton in a way that so few sides have actually done on the home patch since De Zerbi took over. So, and also another sort of element that you have to, I think, factor into this is the fact that Liverpool have found themselves, after what went on at Tottenham, on the end of what I would say is a pretty controversial decision. Now, the penalty at the end that Mohamed Salah converts is through Pascal Gross fouling Szoboszlai. He's dragging on his shirt. Now, the rule, of course, we all know about denial of a goal-scoring opportunity in the box is that if you make a genuine attempt to play the ball, then you don't receive a red card as well. They don't want that double jeopardy there of giving away a penalty and also being sent off. So the rule is if you do make a genuine attempt to play the ball, then you don't get a red card in that incident. But I don't think how any referee can watch that moment back and think that Gross is making a genuine attempt to play the ball in dragging Szoboszlai back with the back of his shirt, really, around the collar. I think that was a clear red card for me. Now, my understanding is, and I've been told, that the officials didn't believe that Szoboszlai had a clear goal-scoring opportunity in front of him. But again, you watch the incident back and you see that he's running towards the ball, and if he slides in, and he's got a clear attempt, a possibility to get a shot away with just the goalkeeper to be very, very close to goal. So I think that's another controversial one. I think it's one where Liverpool will just, again, as they did with some of the decisions against Tottenham, just feel hard done by. Maybe they didn't play their absolute best today, but if that decision goes for them, then they probably win this game with ease, and it's just one, again, where it hasn't fallen for them. So that is kind of frustrating. I think overall, in terms of drawing at Brighton as well, I'd say, in terms of what that means for Liverpool's aims going forward, I felt coming into this run of back-to-back away fixtures that Liverpool had made a strong start, but I felt that they had to win one of maybe either the Spurs or the Brighton game to really announce that, yes, we're back, we're ready to challenge for the title this season. And obviously that hasn't happened, but I would say that they'll come away thinking that, yeah, if key moments had gone for us, the Luis Diaz goal in the Tottenham game, maybe one of those red cards not being given, or a red card being given in the instance of the Brighton game today, then Liverpool will feel like they could have had more points on the board. They could have maybe been top of the pile after this start to the season. And you have to remind yourself as well that the main aim this season, after what was a disaster last time out, really, is to get back in the top 4. So Jurgen Klopp always says, in terms of a title challenge, Liverpool want to get in the top 4 as quickly as they can, and then look at where they are in the season from there. And if there is a title challenge to be had, then they go for it. So they have at least, I suppose, put themselves in that position. They are, they know that no matter what happens today, they'll end the day in the top 4. So that is, not a bad start to getting back into those Champions League places, and they've given themselves, more than anything, a foundation to build on for the season going forward. Now, I'll just go through the players as I usually do quickly and talk about how I felt they played in this game. I start with the goalkeeper, Alisson. I felt nothing he could really do about either goal. I think, you would maybe criticise him around the first one in terms of not getting back in quickly enough, but it's such a poor pass from Virgil van Dijk. And Alisson, his positioning is based on the fact that Liverpool use him so much in possession. So he almost walks into the right-sided centre-half position, ready to receive the ball, and then he can't get back quickly enough. So I don't think it would be fair to criticise him around that one. And I think the same goes to the second goal. Nothing he could do around that one. Really close range shot. Did some other decent saves and some good handling as you'd expect. So, but one of those performances won't live long in the memory. But nothing you could really criticise him for. Moving into the defence, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I felt at times like Brighton found it kind of easy to get down his side, but then you look at the statistics and 3 tackles, 3 clearances, 1 interception. So I think maybe my feeling on the game was maybe coloured by the fact that Mitoma came into it really sort of late in the game. He started to have a massive influence, and that led to Joe Gomez being subbed on for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think that was the right decision because I think Trent was maybe tiring a little bit. He hasn't been in the starting 11 a lot recently. Obviously, he had that hamstring injury as well. So maybe that was the reason that Mitoma started growing into it. And also De Zerbi tweaked things tactically as well to sort of try and make that one-on-one battle happen down that right-hand side. So overall, not a poor performance from Trent again. I thought he was decent. He stuck to his defensive task, and there was one moment actually where a long ball over the top looked like it was going to get Mitoma in, and he sticks a leg out flying in the air and intercepts the ball, and that was a really key moment in the game as well. So not a bad performance from Trent at all, but not at his absolute best, particularly in terms of the creative elements. I don't think he was massively influential in terms of that today. Joel Matip, I think he's been really good recently when he's come into the team. He's been keeping Canate out, hasn't he? And I thought another decent performance from him today. Again, neither goal you could really lay at his door, and he was a strong performance. He comes off late on again for Canate, and I think that's maybe Jurgen Klopp is if he can, he would prefer to get that Van Dijk Canate partnership going as soon as he can, really. And I think we will be seeing that after the international break. But I would say about Joel Matip, he hasn't disgraced himself at all in this run in the team. He looks like he's really recovered his form from what it was last season when I thought he was really, really poor. So great to see him back, and he could have a big influence on this season because there's plenty of games to go around. So I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of him. But maybe this is where he drops out the Premier League team. We'll have to see how that one works out. Moving on to his centre-half partner, Virgil van Dijk. As I said, poor pass for the goal, the opening goal of the game. Really sloppy moment from him, and one you wouldn't expect. He's usually so secure with the ball at his feet, but he puts Allister in all sorts of trouble with the pass. So I thought it was a poor decision from him and poor execution. You can have that element of casualness, can't you, from time to time, but he's still brilliant, and I think he defended as well as Matip throughout this game, really. Again, the goals, that first goal aside, you can't criticise him too heavily for what he did elsewhere around that game. When Brighton got in, he was always there in the right place to clear. And again, that set piece, not one you could lay at his door for the equalising goal either. So a poor error from him, but then sort of recovered to have an overall a decent game for me. Andy Robertson, I thought maybe not his best performance. I've said in recent weeks, haven't I, about the way he's been playing, that he's really recovered from what was a difficult start to the season, and there were question marks over his role. But I thought he had a bit of a nightmare today in terms of his defensive side of the game. Adingra seemed to be so influential for Brighton, and every time he got one-on-one with Robertson, I think he really, really found it difficult, and also sort of restricted his ability to get forward as well. It felt a little bit like he was penned in at times and worried about going forward and leaving that space. So not Robertson's best game for me. I didn't think he was particularly great today, and I thought that was part of Liverpool's struggle in terms of keeping Brighton at bay. Moving into the midfield, Allister in that holding role, for me, not a good performance from Alexis Allister today. I thought he really, really struggled. I thought, for the goal, Virgil van Dijk does put him in trouble, but there are moments where his lack of awareness in that position, receiving his ball with the ball with his back to goal, he can get his pocket picked quite often. We've seen that happen to him frequently. In Brighton, the way they pressed, that they were ready to sort of pounce on that today. So, and I thought there was also some sloppiness in his passing. I actually looked at the statistics, and he ends the game with a 92.9% passing accuracy, which is really impressive and suggests that he wasn't firing passes waywardly or really struggling in terms of that. But I think the ones he did misplace were ones that really sort of seemed to put Brighton on the front foot. and was some simple ones that he really should be making. I think there is a question to be asked about whether does he continue in that holding role, or Liverpool surely signed him to be that sort of left-sided number 8 and play that position, and he's been sort of shoehorned into this holding role, and I'm just not massively convinced that it suits him. His lack of pace just keeps getting exposed as well in that area as well. Brighton, occasionally just found it so easy to drift by him in there, and then they had a run at Liverpool's defence. So, for me, that is a real question for maybe Jurgen Klopp to answer over the international break. How does he unlock McAllister's full potential in this team? We'll have to see how he works that one out. His midfield partner, Dominic Szoboszlai, thought another really impressive performance from him. He ends up with 4 key passes. He wins the penalty. I think the biggest struggle for him, and the only thing you could criticise him for, which is not really his fault, is that Liverpool really struggled to get him in the game first half. I think if he'd have seen more of the ball earlier on in the game, then Liverpool would have played better, because every time he did get it, he was massively influential in terms of creativity. I've described him before as almost the heartbeat of this new look midfield, and I stick by those comments. I thought, really, really impressive, despite the fact that Liverpool didn't win today. I thought Szoboszlai did absolutely everything he could to get them there. He's just been an absolutely massive signing, hasn't he? And I love watching him play football. Alongside him in midfield, I expected Endo to start in the holding role for this one, and maybe McAllister to be pushed up. But what happened instead with Curtis Jones being suspended was obviously Harvey Elliott coming into the team, and for me, not his best performance. I thought it was a bit of a surprise, as I say, that he was in there, and the fact that it didn't quite work out was probably best exemplified by the fact that Jurgen Klopp dragged him off at half time and put Gravenberch on there instead. I thought Elliott, in some of these away games, where it's a bit intense like that and the opposition is really pressing, I think he kind of struggles to put a stamp on the game, because he hasn't got that physicality in there, and he hasn't found a way to sort of mitigate for that with his footballing skills. So he really struggled in the game for me, and I think he struggles on the defensive side, maybe underlined by the statistics. 0 tackles, 0 interceptions, 0 aerial duels won. So he wasn't great on the defensive side of the game. He does have one nice little moment with Salah's equaliser, where he leaves the ball. It's a really good leave and deceives the Brighton defenders and the goalkeeper. So it just shows he has got that class, and I think he's already played well at times this season, so we shouldn't be too harsh on him because he is a young player. But this really wasn't his day, I thought, today, and obviously much better performances to come from him going forward as he grows and he learns. This will be an important learning experience for him. Moving into the front line now, Mohamed Salah, he'd actually gone 7 away games in the Premier League without scoring a goal, and then gets 2 today. I really liked his penalty, because I think he's been going down the middle, hasn't he, with a lot of them recently, and smashing them down the middle. And some, it's maybe got in his head with sometimes he's missed some of those penalties and question marks over whether he should be the taker. But I thought it was a really confident penalty today, right into the corner, really well taken. Then he obviously takes his other goal well as well. So yeah, we know how good he is. I've spoken about it many times on these videos. He's hugely influential to this Liverpool side, and he was again with two massively important goals and another really good performance. On the other wing, Diaz, for me, not his best day again. Another one of the players where I thought it didn't quite kind of work out for him. He tried his best, but I thought he was locked down at times in terms of the fullback getting the better of him. Not massively creative. I think it was one of those days where, if things had gone for as they had for him, and Liverpool had more on the subs bench, Gakpo injured and Jota suspended for this one, I think they really missed those options to change it up, because Diaz would have been maybe the first candidate to be brought off. So Liverpool missed that real attacking depth today, because it can happen that one of your players had an off day, and that definitely happened for me with Diaz today. The remaining forward who's left, of course, is Darwin Nunez. No goal for him today, but he still gets, I think, 3 shots away, and there was some other elements about his performance actually that I really, really liked. I thought the fact that he was sort of involved in build-up and some of the work he did around that, because that for me is the big difference between him and Gakpo, really, in terms of he hasn't in the past looked after the ball as well as Gakpo maybe would, but I think we saw some really nice touches in build-up and spraying it wide and fending off defenders, and I thought he was really involved in a good way. He was also quite intelligent in terms of the way he led the Liverpool press as well, which again is something that the manager has almost openly criticised him for in the past, is not being as intelligent in his pressing. But I thought he made sure that Liverpool didn't get tempted into pressing the goalkeeper, which is what Brighton want you to do, so that they can create those overloads. He didn't fall into that trap, and the moments when he did pressure the goalkeeper, he only did it in the correct moments to do it. So I thought he's really showed that side to his game, and as I say, he was involved massively in Liverpool's attacking build-up. So I thought even though he doesn't get a goal, quietly one of his more impressive games. So Liverpool really enjoyed what he did and what he put together in that performance today. So we'll have to see when Gakpo comes back after the international break how that competition for starts goes forward, because I think this was for Nunez's first away start in the Premier League so far this season. So there has obviously been that issue of trust with the manager, but clearly I think if he keeps performing as he did today, then he will keep getting opportunities, because as I say, I thought very impressive from him today. Just going to touch on the substitutes as well, or the one substitute who had the most playing time, and that was Gravenberch. He comes on at half time for Elliott, which I think was the right sub, and he added that physicality that Elliott lacked. Saw some really, really nice touches in tight spaces, nice little turns away from defenders, winning free kick. I thought, he really built on the fact that he's been so impressive, hasn't he, when he's come into that sort of cup team and the Europa League team, and he got an opportunity in the Premier League today, and I thought really took it. One disappointing moment for him when he hits the bar with a chance that he probably should do better with, a Szoboszlai cross to the back post, and he smacks the crossbar. So a real shame he couldn't get the goal, but I thought his overall play was generally very good, and with Jones still being suspended for another 2 games, maybe it's going to be Gravenberch's spot to lose there, and maybe Jones will have a battle on his hands when he comes back if Gravenberch can make the most of it and keep playing as impressively as I thought he did today. So that sort of completes my run through the players who and how they played today. Please do let me know who was your man of the match in the comments. Let me know how you thought the performance was. What do you think Liverpool's aims are for the remainder of this season, considering how they've played across this start going into this next international break? And as ever, I'm going to ask, please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. We're going to it'll be a little bit more quiet coming over the international break, but so many more games to come, so much more to talk about around Liverpool. So I'm sure I will see you very soon.